Hello, I'm Julie Kay, and welcome to my series on emotions. I am in the second half of this series where we are discussing what do we do with our emotions. The first part is on what our emotions do for us. So I am now moving on from one of my other videos where I talked about accepting your emotions is so important. It's one of the steps is accepting your emotions and then allowing them to come up, giving them permission and room to come up. So now we're moving into respecting our emotions, embracing our emotions, and also leaning into our emotions. All of this also can apply to helping others. But first we must help ourselves. We must receive in order to give. So I wanted you to know up front, that's what we're going to be talking about on this video. I thank you for joining me, and I encourage you to watch the others in this series, which are in a playlist. The playlist link is in the description to this video. I encourage you to like these videos, share them out with others who need them, because I believe this is a really not very touched topic. And yes, I'm all about grief and loss. So I have already acknowledged that emotions are good, and they're God-given, and they're part of who we are, whether we like it or not. So we might as well work with them because they're part of our memories. They're part of our experiences and our memories. And our memories have thoughts and emotions in them. Absolutely. So I will be still quoting Gina Moffa in this book, which I've already referred to. It's called Moving On Doesn't Mean Letting Go. It's a great book. That I've been really pulling a lot more information from about emotions. But a lot of what I love is a lot of what she says is already what I know, and I'm and having that revelation of. So, you know, this is not a woman of faith necessarily. Well, I'm not saying she's not, okay, but she doesn't write it necessarily from that point of view. But it's very real and she's very experienced with helping people and helping herself. So I just want to establish that. So one of her quotes, and again, I believe her quotes show different wording that I've used, and I love that. So I'm going to refer to them just to kind of initiate the different discussions of these different verbs and words that we can be doing with our emotions. So one thing she said on page 54 is respect whatever comes. It was part of one of the quotes she said. These are paraphrased from her book. But respect whatever comes. So, and I want to go back to a quote of hers from page 21 that I've already mentioned in the previous video, because this is where we got to start. Okay, this is part of where we got to start with our emotions. She says, there's an importance of acknowledging your experience and your feelings, emotions, feelings, as valid and vital, a valid and vital part of your story and healing process. So she's saying it's very important to acknowledge your experiences, your memories, your feelings as valid and vital, a valid and vital part of your story and your healing process. I totally agree with that. So that's why I'm repeating it. And so I look up the words here, and so I'm going to be looking down at my book and reading these because I want to, I'm taking them off of the internet basically. And I think when we see things worded in different ways, when we read into definitions and then multiple definitions, which Google does, AI, whatever, you can go down and you can keep seeing more. And it's just different ways of looking at it. And it helps us to give depth to what we're talking about, because I want this to be an in-depth study and look at emotions and what we need to do with them. Okay, so I know that God's given me a gift to do some of these things and all of these things, I hope, with others. I hope. And so it's giving me words to part of what I already kind of do. And sometimes when we're gifted with things, we just kind of do them. It doesn't mean we don't have a skill, we're not learning, because we are learning, and we do get better with anything as we do it. But people that are when we're so gifted with something, sometimes we're like, I don't know, I just do it. And it's hard to explain. So this is helping me to explain what I know I need to do for myself, what I hope to do for others. So it always goes both ways with any of my videos. This can be, but we got to learn it for ourselves first, right? So I'm learning more so that I can hopefully help others more with their emotions. Okay, so one of the definitions I got of respect is due regard for the feelings, which could be rights, wishes, but we're talking about feelings and emotions here. Due regard for the feelings of others or for yourself, because it says for others in the definition, but we need to have respect for ourselves and respect whatever comes up. Gina is talking about that as well. She's talking about whatever comes up in you, in yourself, whatever's coming up in me. I need to respect that. Okay? So that word respect means due regard. So then I looked up the word due regard. Okay? Due regard, giving something appropriate attention, consideration, or respect. And that's what you see with a lot of words. One word in the definition points to the other one and vice versa. Okay? Again, it just gives more words, more understanding, food for thought, right? Giving something, okay, we're going to change that something to emotions. Giving emotions or feelings appropriate attention, consideration, or respect. Think on that, okay? Another thing it says under due regard is it implies acting with proper care and concern, taking into account relevant factors and circumstances. I think that's important to think about, to take proper care and concern for emotions and feelings, thoughts, because that's part of it, but we're focusing on feelings in this series because I don't think they get enough attention. I don't think they get enough credit for how they help us, and too many times we've been taught to suppress them or disregard them because of our upbringing. So that's why I'm really honing in on the emotions and the feelings that we have as a result to our experiences and our memories and our, love for the person we've lost in regards to our grief and loss. So taking proper care of our emotions and feelings and taking into account relevant factors and circumstances. That, factors can be anything, any kind of situation that has to do with our emotions and why we feel, or why we're feeling the heartache we feel and the pain we feel. Taking into those consideration, those factors and circumstances. Okay, that's what and here's another 2 more things about due regard, which points back to respect. Okay, which expert, I'm just going to call her an expert, Gina Moffa, as well as what I've learned and other experts all say. We got to get it out, right? But here's 2 more things. Giving emotions the proper level of attention or respect that they deserve. Giving emotions the proper level of attention or respect that they deserve. Okay? Symptoms in our body, as I mentioned, don't feel good all the time. Pain is not fun, but pain is a blessing if it points to something's wrong in our body. And then we're enduring this pain and we go, it moves us to go to the doctor. It moves us to get tested or whatever we do. And we find out what the problem is and where it is. And it's in an organ, it's in this or that. And now we know what the problem is. If we don't have pain, and people that don't have pain can a lot of times come up with stage 4 cancer and things like that. And it's too late then. So pain is a blessing even though we don't like it. And trust me, I don't like it. So same with the emotional pain. So we may not like it. We don't like when it comes up. We don't always like what we're feeling. But they're there for a reason. God gave them to us. Go back and watch the beginning videos, which I talk more about this. So they need respect. I'm just touching on it because that's why they deserve respect. Okay? The last thought that I got off the internet from in regards to respect and due regard is it suggests a thoughtful and careful approach, not just a quick glance. It suggests a thoughtful and careful approach, not just a quick glance. A quick glance at emotions, a quick glance at the thoughts attached to our emotions, our memories, our, heartache, whatever it is. It suggests a careful and thoughtful approach. That's what I tend to give to people. I hugged somebody in my family the other day, I'm not going to say who, for discretion reasons, who's still newer to my life, and yet we're getting closer. And she said, thank you for coming, and I'm so sorry for what happened. And she began to cry, and because it was a very serious situation. And so I just held her. I didn't pull away. I didn't say anything to shut her down. I just let her do it. And then when she pulled away, I said, it's okay. I am totally fine with crying. Let it out. That's just, I think, the words that I said. I didn't shut her down. I was thoughtful about it. I let her go. If she would have kept crying, I would have stayed with her. I would have not walked off. Thankfully, I wouldn't be uncomfortable. And if we are, we need to explore why we're uncomfortable. But that's what I did, and that's what I encourage you to do for yourself and maybe for others. But we're mainly talking about for us right now, okay? So that's under respect, which led into due regard. Okay? Now I want to touch on embrace, because, again, I'm going to quote one from hers, but I already was bringing that word embrace out, because to accept something or someone is good. But when we embrace them, when we hug them, which is another meaning of embrace, or when we embrace them, now we've taken it to another level. If we're accepting our emotions, that's a first step. But if we're embracing them, that's further. And I believe more healing can come as a result of that. And we can learn to deal with our emotions in a healthy way, which we're going to be getting more towards that. So we're taking this one step at a time, this whole thing. If you're watching the whole series, I hope you learned something from it, because I'm definitely learning from it. Okay? So one of her quotes is, we need to embrace experience. You need to embrace your experiences and emotions and be with them with tenderness. Her quote in general was, embrace your experiences and be with them with tenderness. Okay? So our experiences can be now or past tense, can be memories. And we've already talked about this. Within memories are definitely thoughts and emotions, and more than that, but definitely thoughts and emotions. So you could say that that's saying embrace your emotions and be with them with tenderness. So I like that, how she mentions tenderness. Tenderness can be, it can be, well, in the general sense, if we have tender skin, it's a tenderness in our skin can be a sensitivity to pain. But I think that can translate into what she's saying, do it with tenderness. Embrace your experiences or your emotions with tenderness would be, being sensitive to the pain inside of you. Okay, tenderness can also mean feeling of concern with gentleness and warmth. This is just really helping me to describe more how God uses me at times. It's with his compassion and how that translates to helping people with their pain and their emotions. So tenderness includes warmth. Don't you want to be around somebody who's warm or feel that there's warmth coming from their heart? Gentleness and kindness. So that's just to give different descriptions to it, but embracing. So the word embrace can mean to accept willingly. Not just accept, but accept willingly, or accept with willingness and enthusiasm. Again, it was the definition, and I like that. To embrace something, to accept it with enthusiasm, willingly accept something. If we're embracing a person, we're willingly accepting them, okay? And a lot of times it's with enthusiasm or with kindness and warmth. That's interesting, right? We're either hugging them sometimes to comfort them, or we're doing it enthusiastically because we see them and we've missed them, and we're enthusiastically letting them know we've missed them and we're excited to see them. Yeah, that's interesting, huh? All right. So with that, now I'm going on to my third verb in a sense of what we need to do with emotions. What we need to do with them. Lean into. This is something that I feel have been hearing in my spirit. Lean into. That God leans into our pain. Okay. This is what he's been showing me in my own walk with him. And I'm probably going to have to do another video on this because this one might be too long if I go into it now. So stay tuned for the next one or one of the next videos. Okay? Because I want to get into Psalm 34:18. And I have notes on it ready to go. But again, I think that'll be too much for this specific video. So, but I want you all to know that I have learned how much he loves me unconditionally. I have learned to embrace his love, that his love is perfect, unlike any person's love. And his love is what we need. We're longing for unconditional, perfect love, someone that will love us no matter what and will never leave us or forsake us. And God, Jesus, absolutely does not leave us or forsake us. That's a promise he mentions many times in his word. But I believe, and I see now that he does even more than that. Because a person who just stays with you, oh my gosh, if I would have someone, my husband or someone or a friend, just stay with me and maybe not say anything, but just be there. When I'm in emotional pain and I'm hurting, that is huge. That they wouldn't just leave me and be too busy or not know how to handle it, so they would just take off or be selfish or whatever the reasons that they would just take off. Just being there, that's huge. But God does more. He leans into it. And I notice that when I'm in that compassionate zone with someone who's hurting and who's being vulnerable with me, I love that. I lean into it. Okay, you see me kind of leaning forward towards the video right now. I lean in. And no, when I'm in the flesh, I may not notice this. I'm not saying I do this every time. But when I am in that mode of compassion, I lean in. I lean in. And I let them know I'm here. I'm not walking off. It's okay. Let out whatever's coming out. You're safe. And that all of that and more is what I'm saying. That I can handle it. It's okay. Get it out. Don't keep it in. Okay? So leaning into. No, so I said I'm looking this up too. Well, take it or leave it. I'm not all for everything that AI is getting ready to do. But being able to put all this information together and the definitions of things and come up with this, I think, is really a cool thing. So here's 5. Well, first I'm going to say the initial definition that I found, and then I have like 5 other things that came underneath that. Okay? Lean into is to actively embrace. Oh, there's the word embrace again. To actively embrace and engage with or pursue it. Let's change that to emotions. To actively embrace and to engage with or pursue emotions, often in the face of difficulty or resistance. And underneath that, under difficulty or resistance, I put the pain inside. That's difficult to deal with. And it can even be resistant to come out. Well, we don't want it to come out, so we resist it. In the face of difficulty or resistance, the pain inside. To actively embrace or engage or pursue those memories, that heartache, the pain, the emotion, in the face of difficulty or resistance. That's what leaning into means. Okay, so here's my first point under lean into. It involves facing something difficult or uncomfortable in a situation head on. Now that's just a general. Now we're going to change it to add in emotions. Leaning into means facing difficult and uncomfortable emotions head on. Head on. That makes us think a different way about it, right? Yeah. Head on. Lean into. Okay, the second one. It's about committing yourself wholeheartedly to a task or experience rather than holding back. So, leaning into our emotions is about committing ourselves wholeheartedly to experience our emotions rather than holding them back. To experience them even when it hurts rather than holding them back. That's another part of it. Third one, it includes seeking to understand our emotions. Definitely. Seeking to understand them is part of what we can gain from this, that we can talk about more, because that's going to go into further what they do for us. All right, the fourth one is it can mean to put more effort or to persevere or to fully experience something, even if it's challenging, even if it's hard. So, translate that with emotions, putting more effort to even persevere or fully experience our emotions, even when they're hard, they're challenging, or they're painful. Okay? So, fifth one, it implies a proactive and enthusiastic approach rather than a hesitant or passive one. It implies a proactive and enthusiastic, there we go again, approach rather than a hesitant or passive one. So in other words, with the gift that God's given me to be able to do this, and I need to do it more for myself because I do it for others easier than myself. That's a lot of times what we all do, right? So is that I actually see people's release of emotions as a positive thing. I do, because I know the benefit of them releasing it and how detrimental it is to keep it inside. And I have plenty of videos on this. So if you don't know that, check them out. Check out the first ones and other videos because I talk about this, okay? And so that's saying a proactive or positive, enthusiastic approach rather than being hesitant. Okay, so I hope that gives you a lot of food for thought with those different ways of wording things. The things we shouldn't do and things we do need to do with our emotions. And I look forward to, on the next one, getting into the Psalms 34, verse 18. I encourage you to read it. Where is my Bible? Hold on a second, I'll go get it so I can at least read that verse. And, you know, it's the Lord, He really does. We got to look more into what He's saying in the Word about Himself, because He loves this way. So then we can receive it and we can give it to one another. And I believe that is the hope that everyone needs, is to have a relationship with Jesus Christ and to know the Heavenly Father so that He can save us from our sins, give us eternal life, bring us into a relationship with Him, and He can help heal our broken heart, which is what He promises to do in Isaiah 61. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So I'm going to be getting into that and how like when you go into the words, what they really mean and the depth of what that means, it's way deeper than what you're hearing. But being close to the brokenhearted means, if you get it, you can hear that lean into right there. To lean in, He leans in. And there's another verse I'm going to bring up. So those will be on the next video. Thank you for joining me. Please let me know what you think. Did you learn something from this? Are you seeing emotions differently? Have you ever done this with yourself and seen the benefit of it? Okay? And we're breaking this down step by step and taking our time. And we will be moving on to basically what do we need around us? Who do we need around us? What do we need around us in order to be able to feel like we can do this? Okay? Because it is scary. It is hard. It hurts. And there's a lot of things. And we need the right things and people and the right environment around us to be able to do these things as well. So we'll be going on to that in future videos here. in this series, which are all ending up in the playlist. The link is in the description, and also the individual videos should be in the description as well. And I'm asking you to set up a consult with me if you need help with this. If you don't have anybody you can get help with this, set up a consult. That link is always in the description. Look for it in there, and you can set it up with me. It's free. There's no obligation to go any further, and I want to support you, and I want to be a safe person for you. All right, so look forward to seeing you on future videos. Thank you very much. God bless. Bye.